all the way. He's got the financial security of his new 2-year deal with Honda. He's more mature as the years go by. At the same time, he's got a right to be more cocky, don't you think? And he's got a brand new physique, thanks to Body by Cemex.
250 qualifying got more than the riders fired up early. The fans came alive when 250 newcomer Ezra Lusk, number 24, beat out Larocco, Kudrowski, and Henry to win the opening heat. Then the onlookers went crazy when Showtime Jeremy McGrath lived up to his nickname, winning Heat 2, which included this aerial display. McGrath did not win the mythical jump-off, however. Michael Craig's rendition of the Can-Can in the first semi drew top billing, along with some breathtaking near-horizontal antics. One major disappointment. 3-time world motocross champion Greg Albertine never got a chance to compare his talents with the Supercross hotshots. A dislocated shoulder in the opening heat is now back in place. He should be returning to his first Supercross season, hopefully by Anaheim. Going into the day, there was no question in one man's mind who was going to win the 250 title again in '95.
I feel as strong as I've ever been right now, and I don't see there any reason why I can't do that. I mean, you know, there's still records to be set, and I'm the man to do it.
The season got underway with number 6, Jeff Emig, getting the whole shot. But he goes down right after the turn. Number 4, Henry, 5 laps, and number 19, Craig, held up amongst the unfortunates. With number 24, Ezra Lusk in the lead, number 25, DeHoop hit the deck. Lusk also got in whoops of trouble and later came up short off the finish line jump. Number 15, Kyle Lewis had the lead, but not for long before lap 1 concluded. Here came Jeremy. Effortlessly, McGrath leaps past Lewis. Both Larocco and Kudrowski appeared in good position early, but Lewis gave Larocco fits. Finally, on lap 3, number 2 got by in spectacular fashion on the near side triple. Lewis faded to 8th, but by the time Larocco got by him, McGrath was mounting as much as a 7-second lead. West Coast 125 rider Damon Huffman went down after 9 laps.
What are you telling him on the board? Not to wait. Let's push it up there. Just to push it. Okay, we'll watch and see how hard he pushes it.
Not wishing to settle for second, Larocco tried desperately to catch the defending champion, cutting the deficit by 2 seconds. But midway, he went down, losing his rear brake. Number 7, teammate Mike Kudrowski made the pass.
And I seen him in the turn. He was just picking up his bike and kick-starting it. And that's when I went by and had second.
All this time, number 11, last year's top non-factory rider Larry Ward, was accelerating up through the field. From something like 18th, he came all the way back to the crippled machine of Larocco and moved on to the podium.
I think I started about 18th, and to come back to 3rd, well, that's probably one of the better races I've ever had. And, you know, I owe most of it to Clark Jones. He pushes me every day, and the Snow Lean team's going to come around, and we're going to be up there for this championship.
McGrath began knack-knacking out front, while Jeff Emig showed a never-give-up attitude coming from last place to 9th. With a 20-second lead, the checkers for Jeremy, his 20th Supercross win in 32 events.
I got to say thanks to my trainer, Gary Cemex. We've been working really hard for the last month here, trying to get in shape. And as a team, we're working great together, and we're just getting stronger.
McGrath, Kudrowski, and Ward on the podium. Larocco, Henry in the top 5, with Hughes, Craig, Lewis, Emig, Dowd rounding out the top 10. After some of the finest heat races we've seen in a long time, it was just another day at the office for the 2-time champion Jeremy McGrath. But turning to 125 action, we got a new face on the podium. And a major contender for the East title was put out of action till March. That story later in the show.
Thanks, Art. With many of the top national riders setting their sights on Supercross, the AMA Arena Cross Series turns wide open and competitive. For Friday night's action, we'll check in with our 1-800-COLLECT Honda scoreboard. In Fort Worth, Texas, Ohio native Jeremy Buell played the role of spoiler, outdoing local boys Goodman and Palmer. Buell proved the Suzuki RM250 is more than competitive, winning the big class, followed by Whitley, Palmer, and Morgan. Friday's 125 results from San Francisco, no surprise, Jimmy Gaddis on top. But it wasn't so easy for Jimmy in the 250 class, where Guy Cooper, trying to stay sharp for the upcoming GNCC series, proves he can still mix it up a bit. Gaddis and Chad Pedersen round out the top 3. Now, coming up on MotoWorld, Art Ekman has all of the action, or lack of it, in the 125 class. We'll also get inside the head of designer and fabricator Jeff Gunlack. But first, Saturday night story from both rounds of the AMA Arena Cross Series. The Arena Cross action split up into two venues. This, the week prior to the Supercross opener. Our MotoWorld cameras traveled both south and west to capture a legend by the bay and a Sooner trying to earn his stripes. Our dual MotoWorld coverage of the National Arena Cross Series begins in San Francisco, California. There were smiles everywhere in the Cow Palace, and not only for the Trophy Girl poster signing, although this dude may disagree. The most smiles were for the perpetually semi-retired Guy Cooper, who had no trouble showing off his old form during the jump-off contest, displaying moves that may rival Jeremy McGrath's as the crowd sure appreciated his return. In the 250 action, Coop on the 56 Suzuki is just edged off the line by Jimmy Gaddis. Gaddis, number 36, Chad Pedersen, and Cooper battled hard in the early going, but it didn't take long for Gaddis, who has dominated the series thus far, to open up the margin on Pedersen. Now, the same couldn't be said for California native Lowell Morrell. Watch this. He will misjudge the high jump and land squarely on the hay bale. Ow! We'll make a note right now to hold on to this footage. It's a keeper. No injuries, just a little low morale in the morning. Meanwhile, up front, Gaddis encountered no troubles controlling first place. His Kawasaki glided through the loose Cow Palace soil as he opened up a dominating lead on the field. Cooper, coming off a first-place finish the day before, seemed a little fatigued toward the end of the 250s, but he did finish with a respectable third, reminding all of his former greatness. In the end, it was the rider from Vegas who captured the spotlight and the checkered flag. In the 125s, number 2 Gaddis has a little trouble out of the gate, while Cooper is forced to bring up the rear of the pack. Despite the bad starts, Gaddis was able to recover and move in ahead of Pedersen and third-place Cooper. Number 2 continues his strong riding, opening up another dominating lead over the competition. Cooper battled hard for third with 54 Jeffrey Pestana, who made the move for third place here, but Air Cooper grabbed it back at the line. Gaddis gets the Saturday night sweep, earning praise from the man they call his airness.
I like racing, I like jumping, and I'm having a good time. I just wish the track maybe had a bigger jump or something that could suit me a little bit better, but again, I'm not trying to snivel or anything. Jimmy just beat my butt both motos tonight, and I got to thank him. He's been riding good.
Now, the other half of our coverage takes us to the Lone Star State, specifically Fort Worth, Texas. In the 125s, Texas native Billy Whitley takes the whole shot, while number 60 Jeremy Buell and 29 Cliff Palmer keep it close. Palmer uses a great maneuver here, a key pass which gives him the lead. Despite a good start by Whitley, he ended up in 5th spot. Palmer was being pressured by fellow Oklahoma native Robbie Raynard, who is coming back from double shoulder surgery in the offseason. Raynard looked strong as he gave chase for the lead on his green Kawasaki, trying to track down Palmer. The race then quickly turned into a heated fight for the lead as Palmer fended off all of Raynard's many attempts to pass. They battled continuously. Here, Raynard takes the inside line, then goes wide for the outside, but he's unable to make the move to get by. Then Raynard shows his evolving maturity on the track, setting Palmer up on the straightaway, making the final move behind the jump out of sight of Mr. Cameraman. First bike over is a lapper. Here comes your race leader. No doubt, Raynard will be a force to be reckoned with if he can get that shoulder healthy this Supercross season. In the 250s, 17 Billy Whitley gets the whole shot again, with Raynard and 9 Jason Upshaw close behind. This time, though, Raynard didn't have to wait long to make his move. He had no problems propelling the Kawasaki past Whitley and into the lead. Speaking of problems, how about this one for Upshaw, who misjudges the bump, hits the hay bale, all of that helping him to a 13th place finish. It was the former Arena Cross champion Raynard who seemed to glide around the track without a problem in the world. He maneuvers here past lapper Terry Tinney. Last year's champ Grayson Goodman continues to struggle through the early season. The Plano, Texas rider could find no solace on home turf, taking a 5th place on the night. Up front, it was Raynard, followed by Whitley and Roy Schellenberger.
I feel really strong. I'm not tired at either one of these motos, so I feel really good, and I had to push the 125 really hard, so I feel really good for the first race next week.
Well, as it turned out, Raynard's good fortunes didn't continue at that opening round in Orlando. We'll have more on that a little later in the show. Right now, the spotlight goes to Bernie Thompson with this week's MMI Tech Tip.
Is your motorcycle running lean? Is it hard starting when it's hot? Does it surge at high speeds? Well, if your motorcycle is equipped with a vacuum fuel valve, then today's tip should help you out. The fuel valve's operation is easy. When the engine is running, engine vacuum opens the large diaphragm to allow fuel to flow from the tank to the carburetors. When there is no engine vacuum, the spring closes the valve so no fuel can flow. To test the valve for fuel flow, attach a vacuum pump to the vacuum port and draw a vacuum until fuel flows out of the hose. I use a beaker to catch the fuel. If fuel does not flow, check the filter and check for any holes or tears in the diaphragm. Most manufacturers will sell replacement parts. If you are having a fuel delivery problem, I hope today's tip will get you back on the road. For the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, I'm Bernie Thompson.
Thanks, Bernie. On last week's show, we awarded Glenn R. Johnson from Kalamazoo, Michigan, a $5,000 scholarship to the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute for doing nothing more than answering the question in 50 words or less, why I want to become a motorcycle technician. This week, another free ride to one lucky viewer. If you're interested, pick up the phone and call 1-800-225-1234. Operators are standing by. And MMI campuses in both Phoenix, Arizona and Orlando are holding back one desk just for you. When we come back, the rest of the story from round one of the U.S. Supercross Series.
MotoWorld is being brought to you in part by the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, the only major manufacturer-endorsed motorcycle training institution.
In Supercross, there's no denying the 250 class is the marquee event. There's also no denying most of the competitive racing over the past couple of years has been for second and third place. That hasn't been the case, though, in the 125s over the last couple of seasons. Always great competitive racing. That's what we expected this week, but
A former 125 Rookie of the Year found out a new factory ride can influence your performance coming off a couple of trying seasons. Number 23, Tim Ferry, took the whole shot. On his celebrated 125 Suzuki, he would never surrender the lead. Number 101, Frenchman Mikel Pichon tried to challenge Ferry, but the home state rider wouldn't crack. Credit Pichon with not going over the edge, but riding a smooth second all the way.
It was a very good ride because I'm not very strong at the beginning of the season, and I must ride more because I'm not training. I booked my race 3 months ago.
The first 125 battle of the season featured Jim Neese, number 45, who won the last chance qualifier to make the field. James Dobb, number 16, and number 43, 16-year-old rookie Kevin Windham. Number 22, Robbie Reynard, a heat winner but a less than outstanding start, turned the throttle counterclockwise, getting into the threesome, and by lap 5 would get by all of them, moving into third. Ferry, meanwhile, held on to his 7-second lead on Pichon, and with only 3 laps to go, Reynard was picking up time on Pichon.
He's already caught him. We just got to find a way around him.
Then, near tragedy. Reynard, who had his right shoulder operated on in 93, his left clavicle in 94, crashed, dislocating his left shoulder. It's back in place now, but he'll be out until early March. Robbie, at broadcast time, was in Vail, Colorado for surgery for a Bristow procedure, a surgery that hopefully will prevent dislocation in the future. Kevin Windham took the new Yamaha colors into third in his very first Supercross.
I'm really excited about my third place victory. I call it a victory. It's been a long road getting here, and I feel good. You know, I feel like I have a long time to work on what I just did, and I just 100% happy.
For Ferry, victory was sweet before his home state fans.
You know, about 10th lap, my arm started pumping up, and all I could hear was the people yelling, so I had to do it for them and for myself.
The 125 East off and running. Ferry taking the 3-point lead in the standings. James Dobb took 4th, Mike Brown 5th. Then it was Yezik, Neese, Karsten, Wallace, and Ramsey.
All right, Art. Now, what about the 125 West region? They've got the big meeting with the East coming up at Minneapolis, but no races under their belts. It just doesn't seem fair somehow.
Well, the Eastern Division might have needed that extra race because as far as I can see it, the depth of veteran talent, it's overpowering in the West with Huffman, Hughes, Gonzalez, Decker. All these guys can win. All of them can contend for the championship. And with Reynard out in the East, there's just not that depth of talent out there.
Well, that should make it interesting. Thanks, Art. Our next stop will be Asheville, North Carolina for our cover story. Stay tuned.
Team Suzuki presents the MotoWorld Suzuki Event Calendar. A look at some of the major events coming up in the world of motorcycles and ATVs.
Round 3 of the U.S. Supercross Series heads to Anaheim on the 28th for a 3-race West Coast swing. Mother Nature moves the Amateur National Ice Race in Hale, Michigan, originally scheduled for January 21st and 22nd, to a cooler February 4th and 5th date. Close your eyes and click your heels, Dorothy. The AMA Arena Cross Series heads to the Midwest town of Topeka, Kansas. For all your race results and highlights, tune in right here to MotoWorld.
Since the beginning of time, the artist has been thought of as an individual. And since the invention of the motorcycle, the rider has been seen as one seeking freedom of expression. Scott Roberts reports on what happens when you combine the two.
I did the Ace, and then from the Ace I went to this BMW up here. From the BMW went to the Henderson.
To most motorcyclists, the two-wheeler is a form of personal freedom. But for visual artist Jeff Gunlock, they are an outlet for his creative expression.
Before I got into the bikes, I was painting pictures like this one here of the forest. And a friend of mine commented to me, he said, well, I see you're finally out of the trees when I started doing this kind of stuff, because I'd done a lot of paintings like that and really didn't know where I was going with it.
Like most riders, Jeff looks back fondly at the first time he came in contact with motorcycles, a moment that redefined his life.
2 houses down from me lived Gramps Cook, and Gramps Cook had a friend that came to visit him every Sunday. A big guy with a bald head and aircraft sunglasses and khaki pants and a white t-shirt and a big black Harley. And that was my first experience with motorcycles, and I just remember that bike was just something else. And that was the first taste of motorcycling. From then, it's always, just always been in my blood. I guess it was always there, just needed that to be stirred up.
Working out of a converted Harley-Davidson showroom in Asheville, North Carolina, Jeff can pick up on the positive energy of days gone by, which in return helps him create his next masterpiece.
The energy here is strong. Motorcycle energy is real strong, and it has a lot of history here, and I can feel it.
Unfortunately, there are a few problems with the 50-year-old building that can dampen his creative drive.
Not only is the energy strong here, but the stench is strong. In the basement of this place, we have a guy who cuts cheese down there, so I guess it's synchronicity or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Like most painters, Jeff has had his share of struggles to have his art seen by the public, which led to the opening of his own private gallery, which displays his final works. Jeff gets a kick when people sometimes mistake his gallery for the old Harley-Davidson showroom.
I had one guy come in here and sit here and play guitars with me all day long and tell me about Harley-Davidsons. It was quite an experience.
As the future looks bright for the motorcycle artist, Jeff Gunlock is excited and a bit philosophical about how his life has evolved.
I can see I have a destination, and I think I'm well on the road to it. It's just what it's going to take from me is my focusing.
Thanks, Scott. When we come back, Brian Drebber and this year's road racing dilemma. Stay with us. The silly season, as it's sometimes called, is punctuated with rumor, speculation, and the odd fact about what the actual racing season will bring. Our Brian Drebber did some searching, and here's what he found out.
The AMA has announced that they will underwrite a $100,000 championship bonus program for the 1995 Grand National Dirt Track Series themselves, while continuing to pursue a series sponsor. 5 new venues are on the schedule, including Eldora Speedway in Ohio, which signed on in a big way, posting a reported $42,000 purse, richest ever in GNC history. Road racing news out of Westerville includes the addition of a 125cc Grand Prix class to run in conjunction with the AMA Superbike Series and as part of the program at the Laguna Seca World Superbike Round. The Buzz Bikes debut at Pomona April 2nd, but will not run at Daytona. Them's the facts, which brings us around to the rumors, such as the aforementioned AMA National Road Racing schedule, or lack thereof as of today. There has been a rumored AMA National schedule floating around, while Roger Edmondson has announced his new North American Superbike Series with 7 events on the schedule and a tentative Loudon stop currently in negotiation. The standoff between Edmondson and the AMA continues to cast a shadow over the face of the new season. Sponsors, riders, and fans alike are calling for peace.
A proposal for a working relationship authored by Edmondson is in the hands of Kerry Agajanian of AMA Pro Racing. And while the parties have agreed to agree, there is no agreement as of today on who will run what we came to know as the AMA CCS National Road Racing Series. Another rumor making the rounds is that John Kosinski will climb off his Kajiva GP bike in 1995 and climb on board a factory Ducati ride alongside World Superbike champ Carl Fogarty. Reached by phone, Kosinski says he's enjoying a new career as an aspiring water skier, attending ski school in Florida. He's aware of nothing and made no comment except to say that when he ended the 1994 GP season, he, quote, turned out the lights, as he puts it. The story will continue. But that's the way it is, this week anyway. Brian Drebber reporting for MotoWorld.
Art, the half hour sure goes by quickly.
Oh, does it ever, especially with all those interesting topics. There's hardly time to tell you folks that we'll be back next week with all the Supercross action from Minneapolis and part 2 of my series on dual sport adventure rides.
Let me guess where this time. How about Hawaii?
No, that's the third one that we take. We took a little swing up through the New England states to do some riding and check out the fall colors, Bob.
Air times for next week are Sunday, January 29th at 2:30 a.m., Saturday night, 11:30 out west. Re-air on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. out west. Until then, I'm Bob Varsha. For Art Ekman and all of us here at MotoWorld, thanks for watching.
MotoWorld has been brought to you by Honda Motorcycles, the leader in on- and off-road fun. Honda, come ride with us. Discover today's motorcycling. For the straight facts on motorcycling, call 1-800-833-3995. And by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. MotoWorld is a production of Seals Communications Corporation, Atlanta, Georgia.
Strong, brave freezing temperatures to watch the best from both coasts do battle. Part 2 in our series on dual sport adventures, destination New England. And Coop gets another crack at Jimmy, this time in his own backyard. All this and more on your source for motorsports, MotoWorld.
MotoWorld is brought to you by Honda Motorcycles, the leader in on- and off-road fun. Honda, come ride with us. Discover today's motorcycling. For the straight facts on motorcycling, call 1-800-833-3995. And by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to MotoWorld. I'm Bob Varsha. My colleague is Art Ekman, who just told me to be brief with the intro because he told 55,000 motorcycle maniacs up in Minneapolis they'd get top billing today. Art, 55,000. You sure you're not inflating that number a little bit?
Actually, Bob, it looked like 60,000 to me. The U.S. Supercross Series was wise to return to Minnesota, a state with a reputation of support for its stick and ball heroes like Rod Carew and Kirby Puckett. Showed up in record numbers, and they were not disappointed.
Crashes and stalls in the qualifying heat races made for some excitement right off the bat. Craig took Kudrowski's rear fender off going down. The shoulder injury taking Craig out of the race. Mike LaRocco stalled out in his heat only to blast by 9 or 10 riders to make the main. Ezra Lusk, riding with a bad cold, didn't need bad luck or extra races, but his crash forced a comeback in the semis to avoid a last-chance qualifier. Supercross came to the Metrodome for the very first time last year and drew more than 46,000 fans. That was the third largest crowd of the season. Tonight, they came back in record numbers. More than 55,000 fans packed the place, the largest crowd outside California in the history of the sport. The defending champion is very popular in Minnesota, and Jeremy pleased his fans with the whole shot. Most everyone anticipated a battle with LaRocco in second, and Emig, Henry, Ward, and Kudrowski in good position. But Kudrowski went down in the whoops just after Henry bounced off the track, breaking his handlebars. And LaRocco just couldn't seem to pick up time on McGrath. Number 24, Ezra Lusk, out of Bainbridge, Georgia, was the lone Suzuki in the race, with Albertine out at least till next week. Lusk was part of the best infighting of the night, along with Jeff Emig, number 6, and Larry Ward. Number 11 Ward was out to prove he's serious about 95. After winning his qualifying heat, he passed Emig and held off Kodrowski to take his second third-place finish in 2 races. LaRocco was picking up a second a lap for 3 laps. When at only 4 seconds back, with 7 laps to go, he had his problems. Lappers didn't help the situation, but the Rocket didn't give up second place.
I wasn't quite riding like myself. I made quite a bit of mistakes and, let him get some distance on me. Then I kind of pulled it together and started closing the gap. Then I, messed up with some lappers and a few mistakes myself.
McGrath, who thinks about erasing his Daytona bad rap, is obviously not looking ahead to it, taking 1 race at a time. He was only 4 seconds away from lapping the 5th place rider in this one.
At home, I do my homework, and I make sure I practice technical stuff like that. And that way, when you get to the racetrack, you can do stuff that you're not supposed to, and it works.
Thanks, Art. For the second week in a row, the sister series to the Stadium Shows highlights our 1-800-COLLECT Honda scoreboard. You knew sooner rather than later Guy Cooper was going to get the hang of this arena cross thing. What better place than the Lazy E Arena in Guthrie, Oklahoma? Buell, Pedersen, Gaddis, and Morgan made the proper adjustments. Cooper order restored to the 250 class as Gaddis and Upshaw jumped a couple of spots on the results page. Now, coming up on MotoWorld, Art, you sure a rookie has to do this?
Absolutely. Every rookie does. Every rookie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time in New England took Art away to long rocky beaches and Art by the bay. You get the idea. Now, if you're not up on your Barry Manilow, you'll learn in a minute what we're talking about. And we'll also have East versus West for bragging rights in the 125 class. Stay tuned.
This is a 1-800-COLLECT call from...
Hey, this is your son, Jeremy. Your son, Jeremy. Trying to be funny? I've been eating pretty good. Doug and I were just hanging out. Cheese. I'm not an actor. What am I doing? Jeff's doing good. He says to say hi. Hi, Dad. Steve says to say hi. Hi, Mom and Dad. Say what? I think we're going to take it tonight. No, I'd rather have it on your bill than mine. I'm getting ready to go race right now. Mom, guess what? We just won the championship again.
Anyone can tell you sponsors are the fuel of our sport. We'd like to take a moment to remind our friends at American Honda we appreciate their support.
Executive producer Lou Seals brought to a close a year-long celebration of MotoWorld's 10th anniversary. John Pettis, Senior Vice President, Motorcycle Division, graciously accepted the gift of gratitude on behalf of American Honda, who has supported the program since its television debut in 1984.
MotoWorld has been very, very important to the motorcycle industry, to the image of motorcycling, especially from the racing point of view. Racing, as you know, is a technological breakthrough for the industry to be able to show its uniqueness, to be able to show where it's going, and for American Honda, this has been very important for us, and we are very proud of the association with MotoWorld in the fact that it's been the one that basically has launched the motorcycle industry to where it is today.
For most of the competitors in the 125 class, an opportunity to ride in front of their hometown fans is something special. But if your name is Huffman, Hughes, Ferry, or Wyndham, the East-West Showdown is what excites them.
In the first of 2 main events of the year featuring both East and West region riders, a whole-shot battle between number 41 David Pingree, number 43 Kevin Wyndham, and number 9 Ryan Hughes. Hughes took the lead away from Wyndham, only to crash in the corner. The young rookie Wyndham inherited the lead and held it for 5 laps. On lap 5, Craig Decker, number 27, banged Orlando winner Tim Ferry, number 23, to the dirt. The incident largely responsible for Ferry losing his points lead in the East. Number 1, Damon Huffman, out for back-to-back titles in the West, showed his clear superiority, taking the lead away from Wyndham. He made sure no one would catch his Suzuki, running mistake-free for the final 10 laps. Number 101, Frenchman Mikel Pichon, who got a horrible start in 9th, battled through Clowers, Keeney, Pingree, and Brown. He sailed by Ferry and then staged the best competition of the race with Decker number 27. Pashan secures the lead, putting him onto the podium for the second time in 2 races. Kevin Windham joined Pashan on the podium for the second time in as many races.
I'm really excited about my finishes so far. I've had a third and a second, and I'm just so happy, especially this weekend. I was kind of a little nervous with the other coast on here. You know, it's going to be a little bit harder.
Damon Huffman shows in his first 125 race of the season, he's the class of the 125s.
Been getting some good starts, and that's one thing I didn't do last year, but I've been working really hard with them, and you know, I think it's going to definitely pay off.
Congratulations, Damon. Now, keeping with our East-West theme for just a moment, MotoWorld and the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute are working together to offer one lucky viewer a scholarship worth about $5,000. Phoenix, Arizona, and Orlando, Florida are your choices, and all you have to do is call 1-800-225-1234. That's 1-800-225-1234 for information and the opportunity for a valuable education. Now, when we come back, our own Art Ekman rewrites the curriculum at the School of Hard Knocks. Ow!
MotoWorld is being brought to you in part by the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, the only major manufacturer-endorsed motorcycle training institution.
After airing our British Columbia dual sport adventure on MotoWorld last month, Tour coordinator Dave Martindale tells us he received over 250 phone calls and letters requesting more information. So, with that kind of viewer interest, I made the supreme sacrifice and put on the helmet and boots for a second mission. If you thought the Canadian Rockies provided pretty pictures, imagine a 2-wheel trip through the timeless towns and covered bridges of New England. Between the amazing fall colors, mountaintop vistas, and my Herald run-in with a birch tree, this ride will surely whet your appetite for further moto adventure.
Farms, trees, cows, mountains.
Should be cold. Definitely cold up there.
The rocks are going to roll, the mud's going to be slippery. Nothing's predictable when you go on a tour with us.
On our second dual sport adventure, I was already twice as comfortable at high speeds of the blacktop, and I knew the native roots, ruts, and rocks could help fine-tune my off-road ability. But first, to traditional tourist activity, the nation's oldest general store for one-stop shopping.
To make sure we have pictures when we leave here.
The leaf peepers were out in full force, but who wants the cabin cruiser cattle cart tour when all you need is 2 wheels? Just 300 feet from the start, we crossed our first covered bridge. The mid-morning temperature, 37 crisp degrees. But trail bosses Randy Church and Paul Olson assured me the golden leaves and picture-perfect scenery would help keep my mind off frostbitten fingers. They were also confident that this kind of motorcycle tour had something for licensed riders of any age and ability.
We get people from 24 to 74 years old. We can accommodate all of them, I think.
74 years old? Was he a good rider?
That's right. He was about your pace, Art. Yeah,
oh, no, let's not get that far down.
Yeah, he was good. He was good, you know. Yeah, no problem.
Any honeymooners?
Yeah, we've had a couple on their honeymoon, a couple on their anniversary, came along.
We've been naming trails after some of our customers. We'll be coming up to Clem's Trail pretty soon. That would be a good one for you, Art.
Okay. How do we get an Arts Trail? No.
An Arts Trail? Yeah. Over the handlebars gets you an Arts Trail, Art.
Ooh.
Over the handlebars, but somebody has to see it. Okay, so you have to be in front, and you have to go over the handlebars.
That's one kind of fame I could do without. On day 1, I was just interested in having a relaxing ride and soaking up the rich country landscapes. Blissfully trapped somewhere between a Walt Whitman poem and a Norman Rockwell painting.
The thing I like most about this tour is that there's guides in front of you and in back of you, so you can just take your time and enjoy the scenery and not worry about keeping up with the rest of the crowd.
Admittedly, I was part of the leisure-seeking, take-your-time group.
Boy, if this doesn't take the stress out of life, nothing will.
Some of my crazy riding partners tried seeing just how close they could come to our MotoWorld cameras. My favorite part of the afternoon, a high-energy lunch to help break up the daily regimen of 7 hours in the saddle. Good excuse to stretch the limbs, look over the bikes, and take in an occasional history lesson. After all, we were riding in the cradle of the American Revolution. Smuggler's Notch, now famous for its skiing and scenic beauty. How did it get its name? As far back as the Revolutionary War, almost everything was smuggled through this valley. Guns, booze, you name it, from Canada to Boston. The warm incentive to complete the first day's ride was a gourmet dinner and cozy night's sleep at a Stowe, Vermont country inn. The trail definitely caught up with me.
Unexplored territory, Art Ekman earns his own trail, the Eck.
Woodbury, Vermont.
But 3 times in 100 yards? He went down hard.
MotoWorld producer Ed Coughlin put a couple chips in his helmet, but Eddie, look at that one, I tell ya.
Wait a second, Art. I'm going to give you a cheap plug.
Uh-oh. Cheap plug.
He's only rode a dirt bike about 20 hours in his life, but he's out there. We were on some really nasty, technical, wet leaves, puddle crossing, rocks. You don't have to go fast to have fun, but he was doing it.
They told me Art Ekman was a 6-day rider. I didn't know that meant he's only been riding for 6 days.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Paul. If 3 crashes on the same trail earned motorcycle immortality, what was the prize for capturing a similar acrobatic jewel on tape? Just ask my producer and cameraman, who suggested I attempt this virgin trail, which was covered with leaves and full of surprises. My goodness, but don't laugh yet. I wasn't the only one singing the Trail Carnage blues.
It's your life! Oh, my. Wait a minute, Paul! What's this?
Look at it all.
Okay, it's coming off.
I know.
So what kind of budget is MotoWorld working on today?
At least all I broke was a headlight, and now we've successfully destroyed every light on the bike except for the back one on the fender.
Was there a small amount of fun in this dual sport ride? Or?
A tremendous amount of fun because the equipment kept me from getting hurt, really.
Yeah.
But yours is going to be expensive.
Well, what he's saying is dress for the crash, not for the ride, right? You go, should I wear this, Jerry? I go, wear everything. Wear it all.
Here's my...
No, this is for me.
That's yours?
Yeah, this is one of my things.
More damage.
More. When oil comes out the side of the motor, there's a little bit of a problem.
We got plenty of duct tape. We'll get it going for tomorrow.
Our fearless leader, Paul, was not as perturbed as he looks. Thanks to his mechanical heroics and reshuffling some bikes, he got us both back on the trail the very next day.
Replace Jerry's broken parts, Art's broken parts.
Nobody else's broken.
Nobody else's broken parts, no.
Just ahead on MotoWorld, we'll have more on our dual sport adventure from Vermont and New Hampshire. I'll tell you how to get additional tour information, so have a pencil and paper ready. Also experience our breathtaking motorcycle climb to the highest lookout point in New England. Stay with us.
Team Suzuki presents the MotoWorld Suzuki Event Calendar. A look at some of the major events coming up in the world of motorcycles and ATVs.
Put on your flannels and grunge music, because round 4 of the U.S. Supercross Series heads to the Great Northwest, rocking inside the Seattle Kingdom on February 4th. Hope to catch one of your favorite off-road riders. They've been known to show up at the Mid-South Hare Scrambles. Next round, Centerville, Tennessee on February 4th and 5th. And there's always quick acceleration to be found in the National Arena Cross Series. They'll roll into the Motor City February 4th and 5th.
Through Smuggler's Notch, which is a real neat geological formation, and then from there we're going to...
Welcome back to MotoWorld. What impressed me most about our New England dual sport adventure was the guide's flexibility and easygoing organizational approach. Because they knew the territory so well, the exact course laid out each morning could be determined by the general mood of the group. Indeed, New Englanders are known for their laid-back, common-sense dispositions. And when you consider choosing this type of tour, remember that meeting these unique and memorable people makes the riding much more enjoyable.
You know, I came from urban area, and I just wasn't happy there. I moved up here, and I mean, there's a stream on my property, there's trees everywhere, and you have to go someplace, you have to go through trees and mountains, and it's everywhere around you.
The store itself is the oldest continuously operated general store in America, listed in Washington, D.C., began in 1790, never closed its doors. structurally everything's original, same floors and countertops and everything else, and it's just a good old way of life that we want to preserve and help preserve for the town. People really take their history seriously here.
And sometimes the most interesting people you meet are those hanging onto the handlebars next to you.
Well, I teach rock climbing and mountaineering up here in the White Mountains, and so I'm really fortunate. I get to spend all my time outdoors, and when I'm not climbing, I'm riding my motorcycle, and it doesn't get much better than that.
Every time I start thinking that maybe I ought to grow up and go do something else, a motorcycle pops up in front of me and I go, no, I think I'd rather do that right now. Thank you very much.
And part of the fun is knowing that the best laid plans can go astray.
Well, yeah, like today when we drive for quite a while and find out there's a bridge out and no way to get around it. You know, we work hard to find another way around if we can, and you know, hopefully the roads won't have gates on them like they did today, and you know, we'll find our way around. Use the sun and some maybe a compass and a map. We'll get there.
Well, that made it fun.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know, a lot of times we get lost. It's the best thing that happens. You know, we have to look for a new way. We find some great stuff.
Off in the distance, you're looking at the objective for day 3 and the climax of this colorful dual sport tour, the summit of Mount Washington, the highest peak in New England.
Dynamite. Doesn't get any better. Doesn't get any better.
A winding road to build as the climb to the clouds takes you to altitudes over 6,200 feet, and today, not a cloud in sight.
Well, we're real lucky today. We've got 130 miles of visibility in about every direction. From here, you can see Whiteface, New York. You can see the Atlantic Ocean. You can see well into Canada. Pretty lucky. This is a very, very rare day up here today.
At the end of this narrow two-way road is where scientists measured the highest wind velocity ever recorded, some 280 miles per hour. It made some in the group think twice about the long, windy uphill ride. The secret, just don't look over the edge.
Oh, it's not really technical coming up the mountain. It's just sort of keeping your mind on what you're doing so you don't fall off the side of the road.
But where else in the northeastern United States will you find a view so crystal clear?
To go up to 6,000 feet and feel the temperature and the wind and the air, you have to do it to really know what it's all about.
So at the end of every day, you can talk about the stream crossing that you went through, the mud puddle you went through, the great scenery, and then to end up on top of the mountain at the end of the ride. It's just a great way to climax it.
We want to thank Paul Olson and everyone at New England Adventure Tours for a first-class trip. I had just a fabulous time. For more information, you can drop him a line at Route 1 Conway, New Hampshire at 03818 or call 603-447-2810. We'll be back with more MotoWorld right after this. Grant any rider one wish, they'll ask for a loyal sponsor. We here at MotoWorld consider ourselves lucky for our affiliation with American Suzuki and a decade of support.
Our friends at American Suzuki were not forgotten. Mel Harris, the marketing director of the motorcycle division, and Tim Boucher, sales development manager, did the honors. All of us here at MotoWorld are grateful for their support.
It's been a pleasure for American Suzuki to work along with the SEALS Communication, MotoWorld 1, MotoWorld 2 as we grow in supporting the industry and really making motorcycles grow.
It has been a good 10 years. I have some big plans for advertising. I hope SEALS Communications is a part of that as well over the next 10 years.
To many folks, the National Arena Cross Series serves as the minor leagues of racing, meeting the needs of some small towns passed up by the more popular Stadium Series. Well, Guthrie, Oklahoma was the most recent event site, but don't try to tell the riders or the fans that this ain't the bigs. And once the trophy queens were offloaded, it was time for 125 action. Saturday night, who else but number 2, Jimmy Gaddis, opening with a large early lead over 36 Chad Pedersen and 56 Cooper. Oklahoma's favorite son won both events on Friday and was determined to give the home crowd more. With this great pass on the outside, Coop was able to move into second place and then give Gaddis a run for the money. These two riders battled hard for the top spot. Then, with all eyes on the lead, Coop nails the throttle, makes the inside move, bringing the Sooner crowd out of its chairs. But the fans got even more excitement. Gaddis retakes the lead off the big jump. Hold on to your caps, folks. Coop tanks up his Suzuki engine and recaptures the lead in midair, where he's able to hold on to the lead and parlay that into the slimmest of racing margins, one of the great victories in the annals of arena cross competition.
I never give up. I keep it going 100%, and you guys cheering me on sure does help. You know, a hometown crowd, it just can't beat it.
In the 250s, Coop was hampered with bike troubles, as was Gaddis, who lost the lead with a malfunction, and that opened the door for a Chad Pedersen victory. Now, Art, if you remember our coverage from last week's show, you could hear it in Cooper's voice. He wasn't quite 100% on the bike. He was gracious in defeat, but you knew deep down inside he thought he could get Gaddis whenever he wanted to.
Without question, one of the all-time great ambassadors of our sport, the best rider never to win a main event in Supercross. In fact, although he spent a good amount of time delighting the fans with his leaping ability all along the way.
He is fun to watch. Tune into MotoWorld next week. We'll see if Coop shows up for round 7 in Niagara Falls, New York. Of course, we'll also have 125 and 250 Supercross coverage from Anaheim and one of my favorites, ice racing from Flint, Michigan.
Air times for next week are still pretty consistent. Sunday, February 5th at 2:30 a.m. Saturday night, 11:30 out west. Re-air on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. on the West Coast.
Sounds good to me. I'm Bob Varsha for Art Ekman and all of us here at MotoWorld. Thanks for watching.
MotoWorld has been brought to you by Honda Motorcycles, the leader in on and off-road fun. Honda, come ride with us. Discover today's motorcycling. For the straight facts on motorcycling, call 1-800-833-3995. And by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
The Enduro season gets underway in California's San Joaquin Valley. Ice racing wraps up in upstate New York, and we'll meet the privateer who has the factory Supercross hot shoes on the run. All this and more next on MotoWorld.
MotoWorld is brought to you by Honda Motorcycles, the leader in on and off-road fun. Honda, come ride with us. Discover today's motorcycling. For the straight facts on motorcycling, call 1-800-833-3995. And by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha. Alongside Art Ekman, we're ready for another edition of MotoWorld. Supercross is on hiatus while Jeremy McGrath tunes up to go for a record 6th win in a row next weekend at Atlanta. But our top story, the AMA National Enduro season opener, holds the answer to a Supercross trivia question. Let's play Stump the Guru. Art, can you tell me the last man to beat McGrath for a championship and the class and the year?
Ooh, let's see, Bob. That'd be Ty Davis, 125 West, 1990?
Yeesh. Who tipped him off? Here's Logan Sterling.
The opening round of any national series is usually a good indicator of the season to come. Riders might be a little bit on edge, all eager to prove who worked the hardest during the off-season. Even the fans are ready to roost with the best of them. But like always, the pre-race jitters stem from uncertainty. Could the lightning teamwork of defending champion Steve Hatch and tuner Joe Shedrin strike twice? Would Suzuki teammate Randy Hawkins regain his appetite for a possible 6th Enduro title? And what about off-road champions new to the Enduro game?
You know, me and Steve are the A riders, and Cooper and Rodney are the B riders and Enduros, and in the hair scrambles, me and Steve are the B riders, and Cooper Rodney's the A rider, so maybe we're going to show him something today.
It's his turn to be the B rider. I'm sure I got a lot to learn before the day's over.
That's reigning hair scrambles champ Rodney Smith on the left, forced to think about 2 threats from the Kawasaki camp. This may be the year in which Danny Hamill's blazing desert speed finally evolves into the patience and technical skill required of enduro experts. And the highly touted Zip Ty Davis hopes the '95 season will quiet the skeptics. His plans for a first ever national off-road championship are far from secret.
Yeah, it's a totally different deal. It's all on clocks, and there's a lot more involved than just racing. So hopefully it's going to turn out really good for me today.
The start instantly brought good news. No snow on the ground, which was a 100% improvement over last year's Quicksilver National. The first loop totaled up a lot of zeros, Steve Hatch coming in 1 point ahead of the rest of the pack. But the third loop provided all the excitement. Scenes like this were pretty common. Even the pros like Larry Rossler felt they got their money's worth. And for a, quote, B rider who was just learning the enduro ways, Rodney Smith was a quick study, finishing 5th on the day. Before the top 5 went any further, some controversy arose over some trailblazers the majority of riders claimed led them down the wrong track. Had the check in question been dropped, Hatch would have finished 2nd. But to no avail, Hatch settles for 4th behind Hawkins and Hamill. Ty Davis got the win either way. He mastered the tight terrain and the final 3 checks and took his 2nd national victory in as many weekends. It was by no means a runaway. The top 5 were all separated by 1 point or less. According to Ty Davis's performance clause, if he does well next week in Arizona, don't be surprised if he's still hanging around for the final enduro come October. I'm Logan Sterling, reporting for MotoWorld.
Thanks, Logan. You might recall that Davis also won a national hare scramble event in California last week. He's clearly in mid-season form. Now let's see who else is hot on this week's 1-800-COLLECT Honda scoreboard. Hare scramble action in more familiar surroundings, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Robert Patterson reaped the reward when Dwayne Connor painfully learned that a tree's bark is literally its bite. Connor center punched an evergreen while in the lead. Patterson and Cunningham raced by to finish 1-2. Local club champion Jeff Stern won the WSMC Unlimited Grand Prix. Oh, did I mention Stern was a club champion in 1985 and hasn't won an event since? Good things come to those who wait, and those who are lucky, like Stern. Chuck Graves set a new track record earlier in the day, but DNF'd. Then race leader Curtis Adams lost a cylinder on the last lap, and the race was Stern's. Now, coming up later on MotoWorld, we'll meet Supercross standout Larry Ward and take you to the ice racing finale in New York. But up next, we've got arena cross action from the Beer City, so stay with us.
Welcome back. As the AMA Arena Cross Series heads into its final stretch, one name has emerged week in and week out, Jimmy Gaddis. But very quietly, Jeremy Buell has worked his way up the leaderboard, and with only a 75-point deficit entering Milwaukee and a Friday night victory in the 125s, the stage was set for Buell to position himself for a run at the title.
Maybe it was the bratwurst or the beer that got the Milwaukee crowd fired up. Or perhaps it was that fantastic smile from the multi-talented trophy girl. Jimmy Gaddis looked relaxed, even though his once dominating points lead had become fragile due to the surge by number 60 Jeremy Buell. It created some excitement coming down the stretch.
Jimmy's kind of in the hot seat, if you will, and I'm in 2nd place. I got a pretty comfortable lead on 3rd, and I'm just going to go out there and do the best I can each race. You know, I really don't have a lot to lose.
Gaddis knows what he needs to do if he's going to don the #1 plate next season.
I think just ride consistent, keep in the top 3 every race, and I think I can pull it off by the end of the last round at Denver.
Off the line of the 125s, it was neither Gaddis nor Buell, but number 7, Sean Morgan, who was able to gain the whole shot in the early lead. The Colorado Springs native has had a consistent year, usually finding a spot in the top 5. Gaddis, though, was in hot pursuit, looking for a prime opportunity to pass his fellow Kawasaki rider. Buell, coming off a 125 Friday night victory, was in back of Gaddis in 3rd, hoping for a chance to upstage his main nemesis and gain the upper hand in the points race. But watch Gaddis. He's able to make his move for first, propelling forward and taking the lead over the monster jump. He's able to parlay that into a victory as Buell is able to move up and muster a 2nd place finish. Morgan fell back to 4th as Greg Rand is able to make the last-minute pass for 3rd. The 250 started out similar to the 125s as Sean Morgan is able to gain another whole shot and the early lead. Gaddis had to fight from 3rd place but was able to take the lead when Morgan commits a common mistake for inexperienced riders. He turns his head and looks over his shoulder to locate Jimmy Gaddis's number 2. That was enough to give Gaddis the opportunity to pass and move to the head of the pack. Buell, who was in 3rd, set his sights on passing Morgan as well, waiting for the turn, which has meant disaster for Morgan all night. Buell taps his rear tire, then moves ahead and into 2nd over the big jump. Gaddis almost loses it on the final turn, but holds on for a Saturday night sweep.
Boy, you just hung tough and you pulled off back-to-back wins. It got to make you feel better with the points chase coming down to just 2 races.
Yeah, I feel good. You know, I don't think I could ask for a better night, and I just like to thank the good Lord Jesus Christ for keeping me safe again.
Going into Cincinnati, Gaddis holds a nice lead over Buell. Grayson Goodman is in third as Morgan and Billy Whitley are sure to make a fight for fourth.
Thanks, Art. Now it's time for this week's MMI tip. Ever wonder what racers mean when they talk about pulling a gear? Here's Bernie Thompson of the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute to explain.
Have you ever wondered why the same year, same size stock motorcycle can beat yours up a hill, out of a corner, or down a straightaway? It could be that motorcycle is geared for those conditions. Gearing can make a lot of difference. You want the motorcycle to produce horsepower as soon as possible. A good rule of thumb is to work with the rear sprocket as much as possible. A large sprocket will give you less top end, but more power out of the corners. A smaller sprocket on the rear will give you top speed, but less acceleration. More times than not, you won't have to change more than 1 to 3 teeth, larger or smaller, depending on riding conditions. Sometimes a simple sprocket change can get you the performance you're after without costly engine modifications. For the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, I'm Bernie Thompson.
All right, Bernie, that kind of understanding of how motorcycles work can be yours for free. If you're the lucky winner of our next MMI MotoWorld Scholarship, just call 1-800-225-1234, 24 hours a day, and an operator will give you the scoop on a $5,000 scholarship to be given away here on the show, good at MMI campuses in either Orlando, Florida, or Phoenix, Arizona. That number again, 1-800-225-1234. And we'll be back to wrap up the season on ice, and we'll recall the king of the dirt oval when MotoWorld returns.
MotoWorld is being brought to you in part by the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, the only major manufacturer-endorsed motorcycle training institution. Team Suzuki presents the MotoWorld Suzuki Event Calendar. A look at some of the major events coming up in the world of motorcycles and ATVs.
Can Mike LaRocco defend his AMA Motocross Championship? Find out March 5th as the season gets underway at Gatorback Cycle Park in Gainesville, Florida. Fasten those seatbelts because round 1 of the AMA Pro Star Drag Racing Series launches into action March 4th and 5th, also in Gainesville, Florida. And the North American Superbike Series makes its long-anticipated debut March 3rd through the 5th, opening up the race action at Daytona Beach. For all your Sunshine State results and highlights, tune in to MotoWorld.
If you want to know whether spring is right around the corner, drop the thermometer, forget that Pennsylvania groundhog, and ignore those flowers poking through the snow. Daytona is now a week away, and the final indoor ice race of the year is now in the books. There's 2 sure signs that Old Man Winter is on his way out. Brian Dreber has our final report from rinkside.
The Muskegon Motorcycle Club hosted the 3rd and final stop on the AMA National Indoor Ice Racing Series. And with 3 riders tied on points going into this last event, it promised to be a good one. Defending champion Chuck Springsteen, 2-time runner-up Brian Harden, and 1989 Rookie of the Year Mark Weiskell would race each other once while fighting for points in the round-robin format of heat races. In his first race of the night, Springsteen got off to a shaky start, finishing 3rd for only 2 points, while Brian Harden notched 3 wins in a row. Springer came back strong to win his next 3, then Rambo opened the door with a 2nd-place finish. Mark Weiskell's efforts to keep pace took a hit as he had to ride on borrowed equipment after winning his first heat. The first head-to-head duel would have come in the 12th of 20 races, but Weiskell missed the start, and Springsteen went on to win, making it a showdown for the season championship between Harden and the defending number 1 in their final heat race. Lined up side by side, Springsteen, now trailing by a point, needed a great start and a lot of luck to beat Harden by 2 spots. The start wasn't so great, but luck took the form of number 22 Dan Butler taking Rambo high and wide, while Springer slid through underneath for the lead. If Springer said thanks, Harden was a little too busy to say you're welcome. Chuck Springsteen cruised to the win and took the championship by a single point. The main event for the night would be for pride, prestige, bragging rights, big bucks, or maybe revenge. And with the number 1 plate secure for another year, Springsteen had nothing to lose. He and Harden parlayed a front row start into a battle for the lead, But Don Estep, number 14, sent Craig Pickett sprawling, and out came the red flag. Hey, let's try again. This time Hardin ends up in the old studded tire sandwich and scatters the field. Start number 3 had everyone lined up behind the new champ, and things went well for a while, until a perhaps frustrated Mark Weiskell took out Doug O'Boyle, leading to a single file restart behind Springsteen once more. That's where they stayed, except for Estep, who at least had a great view of the champion as he took the checkered flag.
I had my doubts, and Brian was hauling ass this year, and I'm lucky I come out ahead. That's just luck, really.
Winning the main event was the icing on the cake for repeat indoor ice racing champion Chuck Springsteen. Brian Drebber reporting for MotoWorld.
With the Muskegon ice race in the books, our focus shifts to the dirt. A couple of weeks and we'll have all the highlights from Daytona and the quarter-mile oval at Municipal County Stadium. But for now, a Yamaha flashback from 1985 involving a multi-time Grand National and World Champion making his triumphant return to the road. King Kenny Roberts on the pole for the 14th annual Champion Sparkplug 200.
The green flag, and they're off. Mike Baldwin has gotten a great start as the 4th fastest qualifier, Steve Gray, is left behind. The field heads for turn 1 with Connecticut's Mike Baldwin setting the pace. Kenny Roberts aboard Yamaha number 2, now closing on Baldwin as they exit turn 5 and head uphill towards the tricky corkscrew turn. As suspected, Roberts and Momola have stormed to the front, leaving Mike Baldwin all alone in 3rd place.
Actually, I haven't forgotten anything. I'm a little rusty, but it's a better motorcycle this year. Yamaha's built a fantastic bike. It's actually going faster than I can ride it at this point.
Roberts up on the rear wheel, comes by to take the checkered flag. Kenny Roberts, after a year's layoff, takes his Yamaha to victory in his first race back. Kenny Roberts halfway home in the Champion Sparkplug 200.
For the record, King Kenny's gearbox went south in leg 2 of that race, and Randy Momola came through to win. Now when we come back, the long and winding road of Team Nolene rider Larry Ward. Stick around.
Many of the National Racing Series are won or lost during the silly season. The factories rush to sign up the top talent, hoping to fill up the podium from race to race. Well, this leaves the support teams to kind of roll the dice in search of a pre-talent or an older rider out of options. This year, I truly believe the dawning of a new era has begun for Larry Ward. The untamed teenager back in 1989 grabbed everyone's attention, campaigning on a Honda, getting into 7 main events, finishing in the top 10 5 times. This, along with his 125 performances, earned him a factory ride for 1990. With Team Suzuki then, he made all 18 mains, 16 top 10s, 3 podiums and 1 win. This kid was the rising star of Supercross. And then the glitter came off that star as quickly as it got there. No podiums in 91, 1 third-place finish in 92, and no factory ride in 1993. Team Nolene's Clark Jones then came to the rescue, helping to turn the life and times of Larry Ward around. Larry Ward, returning to the prominence that was once his. Taking a non-factory bike to 5 podiums in 5 races this year has him remembering and appreciating the glories of the past.
I do work extra hard. I have been working extra hard. I'm 24 years old, and I'm a little more serious. I know for a fact this is what I want to do. It's what I love to do. It's actually fun coming to the races. There's a lot of people that I would never get to meet unless I was a racer, and you make a lot of good friends.
Everyone keeps saying, man, you're getting 3rds, and I keep telling him Lanson's not out there. When he comes back, I might be 4th.
He's doing good. Hanging in there tough, beating all the factory guys.
His family's influence will always be remembered, but the positive atmosphere of Clark Jones and his family has led to new motivation.
They have 2 beautiful little girls and a little son. I babysit for them sometimes. It just it's a good family atmosphere, and it's a positive atmosphere for me to be around all the time.
We have to keep him up and keep his confidence high. So what we do is try to keep him pumped during the week.
This week it was raining really hard one day, and I said, well, maybe I won't go riding today. He says, no, you'll go riding today. So he pushes me quite a bit.
To those within earshot, Larry Ward even approaches race day practice differently.
I'm going to ride out there, go slow the first lap, and then go for it. Jump everything on the second lap and ride practice pretty much as fast as I can at about 85%. Doing all the obstacles, break a good sweat. My bike's running awesome, I can tell already. Just a little ruddy. That jetting's good. The bike runs good, I'm just letting the squids get out of my way. Seems like I'm a little older because I did start riding professional when I was 17 years old, and so I have been out there a long time, but you know, I hope I'm what they call a late bloomer. I'm getting stronger now and a little faster now, and I'm a lot smarter than I was a couple years ago, I know that.
Passing factory teams on the track doesn't always make for the best of social friends, but number 11 is hoping what he's doing on a stock bike gives him one more shot.
I'd like to definitely get another factory ride, give it one more shot. Hopefully get with whoever I get a factory ride with this next year, continue out my career with them, and whenever they're done with me, then I go ahead and retire. I don't really ever want to retire, though. I want to try to keep a factory ride and ride till I'm 35, 36 years old. I feel like I get stronger every year, and if I keep getting stronger, maybe by the time I'm 35, I'll win a championship.
And by then, Jeremy McGrath's going to be retired, so he's got a shot at it. You know, I think a lot of people think Larry Ward is older than he really is. He's 24, the same age as Jeremy, same age as LaRocco.
But he started at 17 when he was competing against the Osho and Stanton and Johnson. Boy, if he keeps riding into his 30s, it's going to be a heck of a career.
It's gratifying to see somebody take advantage of the opportunity and buck the odds these days.
No question. Classic American success story. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, a new place to play for residents of New Hope, New York. We'll explain in a minute.
MotoWorld is brought to you in part by your local Yamaha dealer, who invites you to see their exciting line of motorcycles, ATVs, and snowmobiles.
Welcome back to the show. Like the final ice race of the season we showed you earlier today, arena cross circuits throughout the country are also coming to a close, except in one small town a stone's throw from the Big Apple, where, thanks to promoter Ray Malley, the action has just begun. Once again, here's Brian Drebber.
New Hope Farms near Port Jervis, New York, opened the doors of their brand new facility to a brand new event this past weekend. The first ever New Hope Indoor Arena Cross race was held after a year of planning and a lot of hard work. Build it and they will come must have been the mantra for race promoter, track designer, and groundskeeper Ray Malley.
As a racer for the last 20 years, I've always wanted to put something back into the sport. And I feel that if I didn't do it, no one else would do it. And if nobody else didn't do it, we wouldn't be here discussing this right now.
Malley and his staff and crew put together a course that was challenging enough for the pros, but user-friendly for all classes of off-road racing. Amateurs, experts, quads, peewees, college boys, minis, you name it, they were there and having a ball. There was an impressive array of trophies, more stuff to look at and buy than your wallet could stand, and a veritable cornucopia of culinary delights for those of us who consider track food a way of life. The featured events for the weekend were the pro classes, although for each racer, his own class was the highlight of the weekend. As usual, some fared better than others, and for the course crew, the work was never done. The 125cc expert class saw a large field take the start and head into the turn behind Carlo Cohen. A hard-charging Ty Wallace on the number 76 made quick work of the leader and set sail for home. Kurt McMillan, number 617, moved to second, but never really challenged Wallace, who picked up the win. Cohen was third, ahead of Scott Carter and Mike Treadwell. In the 250 class, Cohen again got the whole shot, but McMillan on the number 74 made a first turn pass. Cohen continued to press, joined by number 57 Scott Carter, but McMillan had too much for everybody on his bigger machine. Carter became the only challenger in the closing laps, and in spite of a valiant effort, just couldn't run down the yellow 74. Carlo Cohen eventually ended up fifth. McMillan takes home a 250 win to go along with his 125 runner-up finish.
The course was very good. I had some hands-on prepping it, and it lasted very well for the amount of riders that were here. I believe we had over 600 riders entered for the event, and it was a great event. Everybody was happy.
All who were present, I think, would agree. Brian Drebber reporting for MotoWorld.
We're out of time for now, but be sure to be with us next week when a special edition of MotoWorld comes to you from the floor of the Georgia Dome as Jeremy McGrath goes for a record 6th straight Supercross win.
That's right. We'll take you trackside, showing you the story on March 5th at 2:30 a.m. Eastern, and then a re-air Monday, March 6th at 5 p.m.
We'll also check out round 2 of the AMA Enduro Series from Arizona and catch up with the O Show. Johnny O'Mara, wait till you see his new factory ride. For Art Ekman and all of us here at MotoWorld, I'm Bob Varsha. We'll leave you with a look at Sacramento Cycle Night, where motorcycle enthusiasts gather at the local watering hole to swap stories, win prizes, and test their riding skills. Some of the faces you may recognize, others you may not, but it sure looks like a lot of fun. See you next week.
MotoWorld has been brought to you by Honda Motorcycles, the leader in on and off-road fun. Honda, come ride with us. Discover today's motorcycling. For the straight facts on motorcycling, call 1-800-833-3995. And by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. MotoWorld is a production of Seals Communications Corporation, Atlanta, Georgia.
Been to a motorcycle drag race lately? It's incredible to me how they get that much horsepower to launch in a straight line. For a perfect launch, it's important to have a straight axle and a proper wheelie bar adjustment. To inspect for a straight axle, measure from the swing arm pivot bolt to the rear axle on both sides. This handy tool makes it even. Both sides should be even. Vince Van Franken, instructor here at the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, suggests that 2 inches of wheel clearance is an approximate measurement depending on the motorcycle. It's a good place to start. The motorcycle should be on flat ground for best results. Measure from the ground to the wheel axle on both sides. Practice runs will verify if you have the proper adjustment. Wheelie bar too high, you're going to get rear wheel shake. Too low, you'll probably go up in smoke. Keep practicing till you get it perfect. For the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, I'm Bernie Thompson.
Thanks, Bernie. When we come back, we'll have a look at the 125 action here in the Dome, and we'll get a top rider's take on what appears to be the only competitive division in Supercross this year. Stay with us.
MotoWorld is being brought to you in part by the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, the only major manufacturer-endorsed motorcycle training institution. Suzuki presents the MotoWorld Suzuki Event Calendar. I'll look at some of the major events coming up in the world of motorcycles and ATVs.
The next stop for Supercross will be the famed infield at Daytona International Speedway, Saturday, March 11th. Later that night, it'll be left turns only around Municipal County Stadium for round 1 of the Grand National Dirt Track Series. And then Sunday is the day for the big one, the Daytona 200. An international field will be on hand to try and dethrone reigning 200 champion Scott Russell. For all your Bike Week results and highlights, tune in to MotoWorld. Now let's join Art Ekman.
We're just about set for the start of the 125 East here in the Georgia Dome, and sitting with us right now is a guy who's made mincemeat of the 125 West. He's won them all. Damon Huffman. Damon, where's your money on this race?
Well, I got to go with my Suzuki teammate, Tim Ferry, but Sean and Kevin Windham are both riding really well, and it's going to be a tough race, but, you know, it's going to depend a lot on the start.
Okay, the riders are waiting for the gate to drop. Let's go to the action. In the race for the whole shot, all the contenders broke into the top 5, avoiding a first turn pileup. But it was number 43, Kevin Windham, with the whole shot. Windham, going into the race, tied atop the point standings with Puchon, pulled out to as much as a 5-second lead, while the order behind him began to change. Tim Ferry, number 23, and number 101, Mikel Puchon, got out of 4th and 5th by passing number 37, Davey Jezik, and number 26, Mike Brown. They were finding a good rhythm, while Windham turned conservative.
I started tensing up, and about halfway through, my arms they tightened up, and kind of lost feel. And when you're out there riding on the edge, you don't want to push anything and fall down. At least I'm still up on the podium.
Lap 7, Puchon made his move on Ferry. At the time, with 8.5 laps remaining in the race, Puchon was 5.5 seconds behind the leader. A flawless charge by the Frenchman cut Windham's lead to 3 seconds in 1 lap. And on the 9th lap, number 101 tripled, while the 16-year-old rookie doubled, Puchon capturing the lead. Lap 13, Ferry passed Wyndham to further tighten the points race.
It's a long series. I knew Pachon wasn't ready in the first race, but he was ready for this one. I'm just going to come back at Daytona, stronger than ever.
Number 26, Mike Brown, went down on the last lap, but James Dobb, who started way back in 15th, nailed down 4th place. Pachon the Checkers moves into the 125 East points lead, 5 points ahead of 3rd place finisher Wyndham. Ferry, second, lands him 2 points behind Wyndham. Dobb and Brown rounding out the top 5.
Thanks, Art. Well, we told you it was competitive. Those 3 men behind me, Pichon, Wyndham, and Ferry, are now separated by just 7 points for the 125 East Supercross Championship. And speaking of championships, one was clinched last weekend in Cincinnati, Ohio. Let's go to highlights of the next to last round of the AMA Arena Cross.
Programs here, get your programs.
The Cincinnati fans didn't need a program to know that Jammin' Jimmy Gaddis might finally get the monkey off his back and clinch the title. On hand for the occasion, former AMA Superbike rider Colin Edwards en route to Daytona, who was not shy in telling us where he'll likely finish as a rookie next season in Europe.
There's only one place to get, and that's first, and that's what I'm going to do.
We'll have more on Edwards later on in the show. With a 5th and 3rd place finish the previous night, Gaddis needed a pre-race rub to relax. Out of the gate, it was number 17, Billy Whitley, who got the early lead. But as in so many other races, Jimmy didn't trail long. Here he tracks down the Texan and makes his move for the lead before the big jump. From there, Gaddis hit the cruise control until the final lap. Then number 36, Chad Pedersen, made a last-ditch effort to deny Gaddis the number 1 plate. But Gaddis was too tough, sweeping the 125 and the 250, and Arena Cross has a new champ.
I'm happy right now. I just clinched the championship, and again, my wife in the stands for really working hard with me throughout the whole series, and I can't thank her enough.
Congratulations to Jimmy Gaddis. With me is a guy who never let concerns about size prevent him from winning 7 national championships for Team Kawasaki, Jeff Ward. Jeff, despite being one of the smaller riders, you're the only guy to win 125, 250, 500, and a Supercross title. How important is physical size in riding, particularly the bigger bikes?
Well, I think you can only deal with what you have, and I think, talking to a lot of the other riders, I mean, of course, through some of the hoop sections, they had a little more legs than I had, but then a lot of the tight corners with a lot of ruts, they wish they had the short legs, so they didn't, get caught up in the ruts. I never had any knee injuries. A lot of the taller riders had some knee injuries, but mainly my concern was getting strong with more upper body strength to manhandle the bike, and then doing that, let me be able to win all the championships that I did.
And a great career. Tell me a little bit about your four-wheel plans for 1995.
95, I'm doing the Indy Light Series. Prim Investment Company, Gem Homes, and Oakley Goggles are my backers, and I'm trying to put a deal together for Indianapolis 500. If not this year, definitely next year. So I got a lot of things are finally coming together. Just working hard is paying off.
Well, good luck. Thanks for being with us. Jeff Ward is on his way. When we come back, we'll have a look at one of the guys he used to race against long and hard. We'll visit with the O Show, Johnny O'Mara. Stay with us.
One of the most publicized riders in Supercross history. They called him the Valley Boy. In 1984, he won the Supercross championship. He also won Anaheim. Would you welcome the O Show, Johnny O'Mara?
All right. You're looking good, man. Look at you, man.
You too. Been a while.
Excellent, yeah. So what's new at the house? Got anything new?
Well, let's see. I got a new car underneath the cover there. Still have my Toyota.
Yeah.
Still got my mountains, my training playground right here. Just been getting ready for my new season here. Starting to ride quite a bit and start racing in March. We've still got a while. So it's like it's pretty low profile, compared to motocross. You just kind of ease into it a lot slower.
You feeling better?
Yeah, I was just going to get into that.
I know we talked about that Epstein-Barr.
Epstein-Barr virus, and it was news to me. I'd never even heard of it, but come May of '94 is when they diagnosed it that I had it. I was just feeling extremely fatigued, headaches, couldn't sleep that much, and I just thought I was overtraining. And in bicycles or anything where you're anaerobic like that, if you do too much, you're ruined, and you can't bounce back like you can on a motorcycle.
Right.
But, nothing's ever replaced that feeling, what you're talking about. Triple jumps on a motorcycle, when it's done properly,
is one of the best things you'd ever experience. And you know, a lot of people don't get to experience that you and I have. So, and like I said, this will never take that place. But I do love what I'm doing right now, and I do take it as a big challenge, and I take it seriously.
Well, tell me something. Which one of the trophies or which one do you really cherish the most out of all your cups and your races?
Well, this one right here is the Mid-Ohio one. I mean, that's a real prestigious one as far as...
behind the medals there.
Yeah, but these are like the gold medals from Motocross the Nation. I have like, I think 6 or 7 of those. And, you know, these are Supercross wins in 84, 85, and everything else. I got my Coca-Cola stuff. And
very big Coke collector. You like the authentic old... These are all real, too. They all work, right?
Yeah, this one's the 1950s. Plug it in and it'll work also. Another pair of Supercross.
That's a cup.
From Bercy. That was trouble bringing it back on the plane. That was tough. But that's about it.
Was David, I mean, a big motivator for your training, or was it, you know, both of you on an equal part there?
I mean, we love to ride motorcycles, and we made it creative. We made it fun. We made the burden of training every day fun. And to be honest, when he got hurt, it's like half of me kind of left it. You know, it's like really affected me, and I had a hard time dealing with it and getting back. I did get back to a pretty competitive level a year or two after that with Suzuki, but never to the peak I was with when we were a combination.
Right.
We'll keep you updated throughout the year on the progress of Johnny O's illness and that grueling series. On the calendar portion of our show earlier, we went down that fantastic star-studded field of the Daytona 200. International stars like Russell, Poland, Lawson, Fogarty, but there's one guy we just can't overlook. He is really hot. Colin Edwards. 3 consecutive AMA Superbike victories in '94 and a World Superbike ride in '95. Now, the first victory that started off that string of 3 is highlighted on this week's Yamaha Flashback.
With less than 10 to go, Picot battled the Vance and Hines Yamaha pair, Edwards and James. Jamie, second ranked, but a long way back after disqualification at Road America. Needed the points to close on the now sideline courser, and he was handed a handful when Picot became the second fast by Faraci retirement of the day. At that point, the question, which Yamaha will win? And Colin knew the answer. Much as teammate James could have used the difference in points between first and second, Edwards had been waiting a long time for that first Superbike checker, and it would have taken team orders plus the hand of God to slow him down on the last lap.
You know, throughout the season, through last season, I had lost a little confidence just because, you know, I hadn't been winning, basically. You know, it was my rookie year, and I hadn't been winning, and I lost a little confidence, but I got it all back. I can beat these guys just like they can beat me. It was my weekend.
We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, highlights of the most important 250 Supercross of the year thus far. Stay with us.
MotoWorld is brought to you in part by your local Yamaha dealer, who invites you to see their exciting line of motorcycles, ATVs, and snowmobiles.
Welcome back to MotoWorld. By now you know that Jeremy McGrath came up short in his effort to win an unprecedented 6 straight races to open the Supercross season, but that was just the beginning of the story. It was one of the greatest 250s we have ever seen. Here's Art Ekman with the highlights.
It wasn't Jeremy McGrath's worst start of the year, but it wasn't his best either. Number 19, Michael Craig got the whole shot, with Honda's Doug Henry, number 4, number 6, Jeff Emig, number 11, Larry Ward, in front of number 1. McGrath, true to his philosophy, began an immediate charge, getting into third by the finish line jump. And then, watch from our helmet cam atop Jeremy's lid. McGrath, anticipating Craig getting out of the corner, lands on him.
I don't know exactly. I kind of screwed up in this corner here. I slowed down a little bit too much, and Jeremy hit me, tore my pipe off my motor, and it's over.
McGrath was up and running in 7th. 2 of Suzuki's bright young prospects had their problems. Ezra Lusk goes down on lap 3. Let's flash back to semifinal qualifying for number 12, Damon Huffman's 250 day ender. The 125 West points leader stopped the heart of his fans and crew with this one. Back to the main. Henry held the lead for 9 laps. Ward second in the points race, making every podium so far this year, and Emig right behind him. And McGrath, he passed 3 riders in 2 laps to move into 4th. Emig the lead, and Henry faded to 5th. Ward didn't lose it, but cased it hard, dropping from 2nd to 6th. This would be some of the most exciting tight racing of the season. Emig and McGrath, McGrath and Emig, and the Cowies were starting to put it all together. Number 7, Mike Kudrowski, and easily his best run of the year, passed Henry, McGrath, and Emig in 1 lap, moving into the lead with 7 laps to go.
I think this is one of the best ones we've had in a couple of years. Usually McGrath's running away, and tonight, you know, he was up in front, he fell, and then I think we're starting to get to him, maybe.
Emig wouldn't fade. The factory Yamaha finishing 3rd for his 2nd podium of the season.
That race was a lot of fun there, you know. I mean, you know, sure, you know, everybody wants to take the win, but that was just good, fun racing and hard racing, and we shut down McGrath finally. And, you know, I think that's going to up everybody's spirits, you know, including my own.
Kudrowski's teammate Mike LaRocco saw his chance. McGrath lost his rhythm. He had to fight to get out of 5th to go to 4th. And number 2, the Rocket, who started back in 9th place, would pass MK on lap 16. LaRocco extended his lead, nailing down his first win of the season, his 7th career victory. LaRocco moving into 2nd in the points, 1 ahead of Larry Ward. It was LaRocco, Kudrowski, Emig, McGrath, Henry, Ward in 6th place, and Albertine, his best finish in his first Supercross season. Hughes, Lamson, and Swank rounding out the top 10.
Well, Art, after a night like tonight, I can't wait for round 1 of the Outdoor Nationals at Gatorback Cycle Park in Florida, and then on to the Supercross on the infield at Daytona. It should be great fun to watch. Beginning next week on MotoWorld, Daytona, Daytona, and Daytona. Need I say anything more, Art?
Just not to miss it, Bob. Tune into ESPN on Sunday morning, 2:30 a.m. Eastern. That's Saturday night, 11:30 out west. Re-air comes at a nice time for the East Coast viewers, 5 p.m. on Monday, a bit early for 9 to 5ers out west.
Well, as the fans file out here at the Georgia Dome, we're done for the evening. For Art Ekman and all of us here at MotoWorld, I'm Bob Varsha. So long, everybody.
MotoWorld has been brought to you by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. Discover today's motorcycling. For the straight facts on motorcycling, call 1-800-833-3995. And by Honda Motorcycles, the leader in on- and off-road fun. Honda, come ride with us. MotoWorld is a production of Seals Communications Corporation, Atlanta, Georgia.
Further, and his performance on the track was a statement of that conviction. The hole shot for number 1. And within 3 laps, he would have a 7-second lead on the competition. Number 19, Michael Craig, got a good start, but stalled out on lap 3, allowing number 4, Doug Henry, and number 2, Mike LaRocco, and number 9, Ryan Hughes, to zip on by. But the runner-ups would be decided for this race way back in the qualifying heat. Let's flash back to Henry and LaRocco battling for the lead. They crash. Henry will get up to win the heat, but LaRocco gets the wind knocked out of him. Tire marks on his hand and shirt, the only visible evidence of a bruised and battered torso.
I don't know. I think he over-jumped the double and kind of came out a little crooked and kind of ran into my line.
And when he jumped off of that, he kind of drifted over and, you know, came down right on me.
Between the crash and the semifinal, Mike LaRocco Sr. and the Kawasaki crew replaced the front end, the hub, the tire, the shocks, everything to get ready for the semi. A brush with the hay bale put LaRocco in dead last during the semifinal, but he still came back, not only making the main event, but placing 3rd. But before they could go racing again, the crew had to finish the rear end, replacing all but the frame and motor. About $15,000 worth of parts all told. A masterful mechanic's job finished in time. Back to the main now. Number 2 from Indiana met another hay bale, dropping him from 3rd to 5th. But in 4 laps, he was back to 3rd, where he would finish a courageous ride.
The bike was fine. I just had a hard time turning. You know, when I went down to my heat race, I bruised my right side ribs pretty good. It was just giving me a lot of problems, and you know, it was kind of taking my breath away. So, you know, I apologize. I wasn't 100% tonight.
Henry suffered a thumb injury from that earlier crash, lost his battle with Hughes, then faded to 9th. For the 125 rider Ryan Hughes, it was a dream come true. His first podium on a 250, a machine he's beginning to like.
I can ride a little bit smoother and don't have to worry about getting over stuff, and today's probably one of the happiest days of my life right now.
The top 3 orders stayed the same for the final 12 laps, with Kudrowski and Ward moving up to 4th and 5th. The checkers, Jeremy is back. Career win number 25, his 6th of the season.
You guys don't really know how nervous I was before this race, and I mean, it was hitting me a little hard, and you know, I'm glad to be back. Get back in these indoor races and you know, put it back together.
The championship points race has McGrath leading LaRocco by 20 points. Ward only 1 point up on Mike Kudrowski in third.
LaRocco, of course, working out the bumps and bruises. And Ryan Hughes, I was so happy to see that big smile on his face. What a thrill for the youngster to get on his first 250 podium.
No question about that. Let's stay with motocross for a minute and go to the rumor mill. What are we hearing about Damon Bradshaw?
Well, he's coming back as an analyst, first of all, for our national outdoor coverage. But he has been riding. Don't expect him in 95. Maybe in 1996, Damon Bradshaw will pull a Michael Jordan and come on back.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Now let's stick with motocross and head west for this week's 1-800-COLLECT Honda scoreboard. California's big North-South Winter Series showdown is complete. David Pingree, followed by Doug Dubach and Casey Johnson, top the result sheet. Don Upton, Corey Keeney, and Greg Schnell are your series champions. Jeff Matazovich wins the 250 overall, finishing 1-1 on the afternoon, but the second place showing for the Doctor gets him big bike bragging rights in the state of California. The Mickey Thompson Ultracross main event went to series leader Kyle Lewis. Healy and Holland just off the podium, but they're on our scoreboard. Dave Sadowski also had California on his mind, specifically the speedy Willow Springs circuit. Sadowski, the 1994 WERA Formula USA champion, outlasted 93 titleist Chuck Graves for the victory. Walt Dorsch was just a couple of seconds behind Graves. Nick Einach, with a nice ride, picks up 5th spot. And finally, Scott Summers stayed sharp by winning his home state's Mid-South Hare Scrambles. John Machino is that Series AA leader, but out of the race top 5. Now we're headed for a break. Later, we'll have the latest skirmish in a terrific 125 East Supercross title chase from Indy. We'll visit the American Enclave of Speedway Racing for some AMA national action. And up next, down and dirty in the red clay of Georgia on the AMA Enduro Trail. Stay with us.